This is what millions of people were typing before Lautaro Martinez's header had even hit the net. They woke the beast. Jude Bellingham spent the entire match in Messi's face, in his space, in his atmosphere, and then stood there and watched the greatest player in the history of football reach into the 92nd minute of a World Cup semifinal and produce the moment that ended England's 60-year wait for a second chance at the trophy. That's what was already trending across every platform before the Atlanta Stadium had even finished emptying. And then Harry Kane, the captain, the man who scored 6 goals to reach this point, the man standing in the dressing room watching Bellingham in tears, said the thing that will follow this night for years. "I told Jude, you don't have to approach Messi like that. You can't wake the beast in him and expect nothing to happen. The moment you give him that extra motivation, he'll punish you." That's exactly what we saw. Against players like Messi, sometimes the smartest thing you can do is stay disciplined and not give them a reason to raise their level. That is the captain of England, a man who understands exactly what it means to compete against the absolute best, who has spent his career at that level, saying out loud what every experienced football person watching from the outside was already thinking. You do not give Messi a reason. And Jude Bellingham, the most gifted English midfielder of his generation, whose 6 goals before this night had made him one of the tournament's defining performers, gave him one. Multiple ones, across 92 extraordinary, painful, ultimately devastating minutes. So what really happened in Atlanta? Let's go through both tracks simultaneously, the football and the psychology, the brilliance and the chaos, the 60-year wait that came within 14 minutes of ending and the moment it didn't. Start with the full picture of this match, because England were genuinely good for most of it. They weren't lucky, they weren't hanging on. For 78 minutes, they were the better team. Thomas Tuchel's structure was organized and effective. Declan Rice, who had been struggling with illness all week, whose fitness was a genuine concern heading into the biggest match England had played in 26 years, managed the midfield with exactly the kind of control that this fixture demanded. Morgan Rogers and Anthony Gordon provided width and energy, and the goal, when it came, was excellent. Gordon's finish in the 55th minute, a composed slide past Emiliano Martinez after a precision cross from Rogers, was the goal of a team playing with belief and tactical clarity. England were 1-0 up, 78 minutes into a World Cup semifinal against the reigning champions. The scoreboard said what 60 years of hurt had never allowed. All they needed was to close it out. Here's where the football story and the human story become impossible to separate, because in the 87th minute, 5 minutes from the final whistle, 5 minutes from England's first World Cup final since 1966, Tuchel made a decision that football history will examine for years. He substituted Anthony Gordon, who had created the goal and been one of England's most effective attacking threats, and brought on Ezri Konsa to defend. He substituted Harry Kane, 6 goals in the tournament, the captain, the most experienced English striker at this level, presumably to protect the lead with fresh defensive energy. 2 offensive players off, the team switching from winning to protecting. 35 years ago, Bobby Robson in Turin, with England 90 minutes from a World Cup final against West Germany, had faced similar decisions. The management of a lead against elite opposition in the knockout stage of the World Cup is one of the most psychologically complex challenges in sport. Tuchel chose defense, and Argentina smelt it. Alexis McAllister shot off the post. Messi recovered the ball. He drove down the right and sent in a brilliant ball for Lautaro to head home. The 92nd minute. Pandemonium among the Argentine supporters. Silence from the English end that was the specific silence of 60 years of experience telling them exactly what was coming next. Then, what came next was not just a football result. It was Jude Bellingham walking toward the celebrating Argentina players and appearing to slap 21-year-old substitute Valentin Barco on the back of the head. Players from both sides intervened. Teammates pulled Bellingham away. It remains unclear if Barco said anything to provoke the confrontation. As of now, there has been no official word from FIFA on possible disciplinary action. What is clear, from the footage, from multiple broadcast angles, from the accounts of people who were inside the stadium, is that the emotions of the night, accumulated across 92 minutes of the most physically and psychologically demanding match Bellingham has ever played, overflowed at exactly the wrong moment. He was seen in tears and hugging Argentina boss Lionel Scaloni before leaving the pitch. Those two images together, the apparent slap and then the tears in Scaloni's arms, are the human portrait of a 22-year-old who gave everything he had in a match of enormous consequence and came out the other side with a result his country will carry for years. Now here is the counter-argument, because this analysis doesn't hand out assessments for free, and the honest examination requires putting the strongest possible case for the other side clearly on the table. Bellingham did not lose England this match. His 6 goals before it were the reason England reached a semi-final in the first place. His directness and his willingness to compete, qualities that produced 2 goals against Norway, a decisive performance against Mexico, match-winning contributions throughout the knockout rounds, are the same qualities that in the semi-final made him the target of Argentina's most aggressive physical management. 2 minutes into the match, Bellingham was fouled by Leandro Paredes with an elbow shove. Later, a tackle on Messi that went unpunished left the Argentine squad furious, and seconds after that, Enzo Fernandez clattered into Elliot Anderson, which prompted English players, including a visibly angry Bellingham, to confront the Argentines. Argentina were physical from the opening minute. They targeted Bellingham specifically. They knew exactly what they were doing. The question of whether Bellingham handled that targeting wisely is valid. The suggestion that he deserved what happened to him is not. The opening minutes saw 2 bruising challenges by Argentina that sparked the initial bust-up. The referee for this match, Ismail El Fath, an American official, talked to Messi and Kane at the end of a scrappy first half that ended scoreless. The 2 captains representing the opposing sides of a night that was always going to be physical, always going to be emotional, always going to be the kind of match where the margin between historic achievement and historic heartbreak was going to be thin and cruel. Here is the shareable sentence, the one that matters beyond this match, beyond this tournament, beyond the specific argument about whether Bellingham's post-match reaction was justified or reckless. England were 78 minutes from their first World Cup final since 1966. They had the better team for those 78 minutes. And then Lautaro Martinez headed home in the 92nd minute, and the captain of England said you cannot wake the beast in Messi and expect nothing to happen. That sentence is the summary of what it means to play against Argentina at this World Cup, and it will be applied, retrospectively, to every decision Bellingham made across 92 minutes. Now, bring in the broader tournament story, because this Argentina comeback, their third in the knockout rounds, following the 2-0 down to 3-2 against Egypt and the 1-0 down to 3-1 against Switzerland, is now a documented pattern that goes beyond individual match brilliance. Against Egypt, they came from 2-0 down. Against Switzerland, they were level in extra time and then pulled away. Against England, they were 1-0 down with 14 minutes remaining. 3 consecutive knockout matches, 3 comebacks, 3 wins. Messi has now scored in 11 consecutive World Cup matches, a record that has never existed before him and that may not exist after him. He is 39 years old. He is in the World Cup final. He will face Spain on Sunday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, and the 60-year English wait extends again. Bellingham scored 6 goals in this tournament before Wednesday. Kane matched him with 6 goals as England's leading scorer, but failed to score in England's last 2 matches. These are not the statistics of a team that underperformed. They are the statistics of a team that performed magnificently up until the final 14 minutes of the tournament. The English word for what happened after those 14 minutes is heartbreak. The Argentine word is probably destiny. Tuchel's substitution decision will be examined for years, the way all decisive tactical moments in World Cup semifinals are examined. A commentator noted that in 2024, with Bayern leading Madrid 1-0 at the Bernabeu, Tuchel substituted Kim Min-jae for Sané and lost 2-1. Today, with England leading Argentina 1-0, he substituted Konsa for Gordon and lost 2-1 in the semifinal. 2 contexts, similar patterns, same manager, same instinct to protect, same outcome.
Whether that instinct is a flaw or simply bad luck at crucial moments is a question Tuchel will carry with him as he prepares for Euro 2028. England face France in the third-place match on Saturday in Miami. Bellingham's involvement could hinge on any FIFA review of the Barco incident. The governing body, which has been at the center of officiating controversy from the tournament's first week, which received formal complaints from Algeria, Egypt, Belgium, Ghana, and Switzerland, which had 72 EU lawmakers demanding an investigation into Infantino's role in the Bellingham process, will now need to decide whether the post-match confrontation warrants any disciplinary response. Whether that decision arrives before Saturday and how it is communicated to England's federation will itself be part of this tournament's continuing institutional story. Kane summed up the dressing room mood: gutted for the boys, gutted for everyone, the staff, the fans. That sentence, delivered by a man who has given England's national team more than he was ever obligated to give, who reached his third major tournament semi-final with a record of 6 goals and 1 assist, who stood at the final whistle and watched the 39-year-old Argentinian produce one more moment that nobody could have scripted. That sentence contains everything that England's World Cup has been, and everything it didn't become. You cannot wake the beast in Messi. Kane was right. And Bellingham, who will have time to absorb that truth, who will have years of football ahead of him in which to demonstrate exactly the kind of quality that made him the most exciting English player at this tournament, will know it now in the most permanent possible way. With the World Cup final between Argentina and Spain set for Sunday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, the two most controversial and brilliantly organized teams of this entire competition, facing each other in the decisive match, with every officiating and institutional thread of this tournament still unresolved, we are absolutely not done with this story.